Hi everyone, it's Danny. Okay, so today we're going to discuss a subject that still appears from time to time in my comments. Some of you still ask me what I think about it or mention it in a comment. So this is watering orchids with ice cubes. Okay, so in case you didn't know, watering orchids with ice was actually a concept created by a company that sells orchids called Just Add Ice Orchids. So what they're trying to tell you is that it's just so easy to water orchids and care for them just by adding ice cubes on the pot to keep them hydrated. Now, I think this is a bit taking advantage of all the confusion with overwatering and what it is and how it can affect orchids. So, today we'll talk about the pros and cons of using ice cubes with orchids. Okay, let's start with the cons. Most of the orchids you find available in the shops are actually tropical plants. This means that in their natural habitat they don't really experience freezing conditions, freezing water, and frost, and so on. So ice is something they never encountered before and they're not prepared to handle. So imagine you watering ice and actually touching the orchid, leaves, roots, stems, or pseudobulbs with ice will actually damage the tissue. And for those of you who have experienced cold damage, you know how it looks like and the effects it has on the orchid. If you ever left an orchid next to your window with the leaves touching the window in winter time and it was freezing outside, you know the damage it can create to the leaf. It's the same with ice cubes. If you let an ice cube touch the leaf or any part of the orchid, it can actually destroy the tissue and cause some damage to your orchid. Now, the issue with overwatering is pretty far-fetched in my opinion, and I actually think it's easier to overwater with ice cubes, and I'll give you an example. Let's say you have an orchid which is actually potted in sphagnum moss, or it has a mixture between bark and sphagnum moss. Now, moss retains more water than bark, and when the cubes dissolve, they get absorbed by the sphagnum moss. You don't actually know if that water will evaporate within a week. So by you adding some other ice cubes in a week, you might actually waterlog the whole media and the whole pot. And leaving all the other damage aside, you can actually have too much water in your orchid pot by using the ice cubes. Because if you don't check the media to see if it's dry, you can just add ice and eventually kill your orchid by breaking down the media too fast and suffocating the roots and so on. This will actually happen faster if your environment is not really warm and it can be quite humid. The water will evaporate slower. So regarding the ice once a week, it's really relative. Even if you water with plain water, you still have to be careful to see how fast it actually evaporates from your pot. As far as I understand, this company also suggests that by freezing water, you're actually killing off harmful bacteria and microbes. Well, the truth is, not all of the bacteria and microbes are killed off by freezing. Many of them still survive. The only way to kill them properly is to boil the water. So that's really not a reason to use ice cubes. And anyway, there's no harmful bacteria or microbes in your tap water, or at least it shouldn't be if it's designed for human consumption. If you're using filtered water, it's even better. Or distilled water. You really don't have to worry about microbes and bacteria. Checking the website of this company, or rather blog, I've actually seen many people leave comments that their orchids don't do so great. After a while they get limpy leaves and generally they don't look so good. And the company's response is that it's pretty normal and orchids go through this dormant state. Now, I would just like to tell you that it's really not normal. So if your orchid ever has limpy leaves or is just looking really bad, in a bad shape, it's really not normal. Whether it's crown rot or stem rot or even root rot because of that waterlogging that ice creates, you should definitely take action, repot your orchid, and stop what you're doing immediately. Your best bet is to use room temperature water from the faucet or filtered water. Also, there is a tutorial from this company on YouTube which actually shows you how to water a mini phalaenopsis, and what you see there is a person placing ice cubes on top of the orchid. Again, this is one of the worst things you can do to your orchid. If you leave water standing in the crown of an orchid, you can actually cause crown rot. Now, crown rot is a disease that affects the crown of the orchid, so practically the core of the orchid, and in no time you'll have a dead orchid. It's so lethal that very few orchids really make it out alive with proper treatment. So, placing water cubes on top of your orchid is really a no-no, so please don't do it and try to just ignore that video or any other videos that show you that placing ice cubes on top of orchid crowns is okay. The same goes with water if you didn't know. So if you ever have standing water in the crown of an orchid, try to remove it with a napkin as fast as you can. Now, if you really want to purchase an orchid from Just a Dice or any other vendor, then I would like to tell you that it's pretty okay to buy them. I assure you that in their nurseries, they're really not watering orchids with ice cubes. They're properly maintained, so they come to a beautiful state when they sell it to you. So you're safe to buy your orchids wherever you see fit. If the orchid looks fine, doesn't look like it's sick or anything, and the roots are okay, you can actually purchase it. But just try to water it normally with tap water or filtered water. So now let's talk about the pros of using ice with orchids. Well, there isn't any. So what I suggest is actually to do things the proper way and water them with room temperature water, just like you would water any other houseplant that you might have. You wouldn't put ice on any other houseplant, would you? It's the same with orchids. So I really hope that in time this motto, let's call it, will stop being used, and people will find enough information to know that it's really not okay to water with ice, and yeah, actually learn more about their habitat and figure out for themselves how it's better to care for an orchid. So alrighty, thank you for watching this. If you have questions, suggestions for videos for me, just leave me a comment and I'll try to answer in a video. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you like what you see and would like to see more videos, and visit orchidnature.com to get in touch with our community. I will see you next time. Bye!